Welcome to the Dirty Verdict Podcast, where your hosts, trial lawyers Kyle Herbert and Bill Ogden, and mediator Peter Taff, talk with interesting lawyers and break down recent legal news in detail. Here's Kyle, Bill, and...
All right, welcome back to another edition of the Dirty Verdict Podcast. I am full-time mediator Peter Taff.
I'm full-time litigator Kyle Herbert. As with us, as always, is Bill Bob,
The man in the iron mask.
classic Bob.
Full-time what?
You know, man about town,
Yeah, pretty much.
social dilettante,
Debutante. I don't...
who just showed up out of the blue. Tommy Kirker. What's going on, y'all?
The Attorney Tom. Yeah.
Internet fame.
If you've ever been on TikTok, you've seen it.
I was not planning on being a guest here today.
Yeah, so if you are as prepared as me and Bill, this will go just fine. And that means if you prepared not at all and are just here to ruin Peter's afternoon, then you're set. Buckle out. Buckle.
You'll catch on. After a while, you will be insulting me as well within minutes.
Get right at it. If there's an awkward pause in the conversation, say something edit it out. Say something mean about Peter.
It's fun. It's really fun. It's like my second favorite thing to do. It's very easy. All right, so y'all, this is the time that we talk about news stories.
Rapid fire.
Hit us. And there's been, we haven't talked about it in a while, so there's some pretty good ones out there. I wanted to start with some updates.
Well, hold on real quick. Can I jump in?
Yes.
We were here 2 weeks ago, and Bill ditched.
I didn't
ditch.
I missed.
Bill, I want to give you a chance. Bill, current events, give us the update. Why weren't you here with your Dirty Verdict brethren? What were you up to?
So we were in Philadelphia, and we were a top 3 finalists for National Trial Lawyer of the Year at the American Association of Justice Conference. And the voters didn't realize how just ridiculous and debaucherous that me and my partners are, and we actually won. So
You won a major award.
yeah, I'm glad that I could grace you guys with my presence.
What is the title of it? Is it like National Trial Council?
I'll read it because I got my trophy with my name on it today at my office. Let's see what it says. It says 2023 Trial Lawyer of the Year presented to Bill Ogden in honor of your outstanding contribution to public interest throughout your work in Neil Heslin and Scarlett Lewis versus Alex Jones, and also the Leonard Posner case also versus Alex Jones and his entities.
Who were the other 2 finalists?
Salvi, the Salvi firm, they're a medical malpractice firm out of Illinois they're fantastic. Syngenerics or something was it, but they had like a $400 million verdict on a single plaintiff case, and they probably should have beat us. And then Jim Butler out of Georgia hit the Ford. He exposed a lot of lies in the Ford rollover A and B pillar crush performance, and he got $600-700 million verdict as well. We just had the case with the sexiest facts. It was not, their verdicts were outstanding. So
Was there a cash prize like the Nobel Prize?
no, we got to make a speech, and Mark Bankson did it justice. So we'll just leave it at that. I think you can go on YouTube and do it. So yeah, we didn't realize how big of a deal it was till we got there, and then we went into this ballroom. We were like, this is kind of nice, and then we started seeing some of the people that were at the.
Who was the most famous person?
Probably Beyonce.
Oprah?
Yeah, Top Chef Bobby Flay, Chris Daughtry, the usual.
You were on the train to Flavortown.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Did you get a cheesesteak?
I did while I was there. It wasn't even that good though. It was it wasn't one of the stall marks. Well, the Genos and Pats, those are tourist traps. You don't want to go there. But I did get a cheesesteak, and then I got the best braised short rib cheese. Grilled cheese sandwich while I was there. It was
I've yet to find a cheesesteak better than Texadelphia. I think we got
okay, that's a hot take.
It's a bold statement, but I respect it. And I think maybe it's just a matter of you grow up with something.
Yeah.
And right? And then you have it someplace else, and you're like, because I agree with you. Like cheesesteak with mustard blend and onions. I mean, if I want to put myself in a legit coma, it's really the only option.
Tommy, where'd you go to college? University of California, Santa Barbara.
He played golf there. He's a stick. And he's played Augusta National.
I have played Augusta.
Asshole. I don't have that yet. Yeah. Actually, you have a really interesting story as to how you got there. You're like your uncle, something like that?
Cousin who is very, very
dear friends with a member, and just the member was very generous and invited my cousin, and as an extension myself, I was really just the tag along.
How long have you been investing in that cousin relationship?
A long time.
Yeah.
A long.
What's your current handicap?
I'm a 0. Yeah.
Okay.
I think
He says 0, and he says it in not an asshole way, and that pisses me off.
it's a country club 0, which is
It
play the same course over and over and over again.
Same thing.
I don't necessarily think my game travels at a 0 because you're not playing competitive golf. But
That's what I would say if I was the club. That's what I would say if I was a 0.
0 is a 0.
Yeah, I'm a 9. And I
Okay, and then Bill, we also, the same week, you unveiled the vehicle that you found your dad's old vehicle from when you were born.
Yeah.
Sold. Tell us the rest of the story there.
So my dad's turned 60 this year. He turned 60 on July 19th. And so for months I started searching. We found 1978 Z28 Camaro. Found it. It was in Northern Ohio. I flew up there. I asked the guy would, give me a price, and he did. I was like, all right, I'll be right back. And I could see it in his face, like I should have asked for double. So I bought it. I had it flat. I had it shipped down to here. I did a bunch of work myself because growing up, my first vehicle was a 1969 Chevy truck, and I put a new motor in it myself and turned all the wrenches and destroyed my hands. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to do this for my dad. And so I fixed it up, and then he had no idea. So his 60th birthday was last week, and I got to open the garage and make a guy that does not cry, definitely cry a little bit.
Was it his car?
Yeah,
His actual serial number of the one he drove?
correct.
How did you find that?
So there's a picture of a title from back in the day, and then I had an investigator kind of hunt it down, reached out to the current owner on Facebook, and said, hey, I want to come look at it. I did, and then when I was there, I was like, hey, I'm going to buy it. Name your price. And so he did. And
How many owners had there been from your dad to that dude in Fuller? Where in Ohio?
What's the name of the town? So I flew to Ohio, and I drove like 5 hours into the middle of nowhere. Like, you take that dirt road and you take a right. And the guy that had it was
It was like Toledo or Cleveland?
Cleveland. Yeah.
I'm from Toledo. I'm wondering it. My family, I'm from Toledo. I was born there.
I was wondering what the smell was. I thought it was Mississippi, but no,
No, that's
Ohio.
that's some sweet Lake Erie rubber runoff from the Firestone.
How the Ohio talked its way into being Midwest is beyond me.
Michigan and Ohio fought a literal war over Toledo, and Michigan won.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Have you met Sean Tracy?
I have these conversations with my cousins that live up there. I'm like, look, I'm not saying you got to move to Florida or Texas. Maybe give Kentucky a try.
Yeah, but it's in Bourbon Town.
Yeah. It's
Lexington's a beautiful city.
recommend Toledo.
I am a Kentucky colonel.
What?
If you didn't know, is the highest civic honor given by the state of Kentucky.
How'd you win that? How'd you get that?
Way to become a Kentucky colonel is to be nominated.
It's to kill a Kentucky colonel.
No, it's to be nominated by a Kentucky
That
colonel.
was blood in, blood out.
It's great.
Who nominated you to be a Kentucky colonel?
This guy who lives in my neighborhood, his name's Phil, and he's a Kentucky colonel, and I basically begged him. I said, you gotta make me a Kentucky colonel. He kind of blew it off, and then about 8 months later, he randomly called me, and he said, come to my house. So I walked over to his house. He gave me the little diploma.
He told like your sucker suit and a funny hat.
They have a ball every year, which I get an invite to. Never been, but it's a total black tie event, tuxedos, the whole 9 yards. And apparently once you get there, they give you a saber.
Nice.
So my daughter, Catherine, is named after her maternal grandmother, who was a Kentucky.
Grandmothers can be Kentucky colonels?
Anybody can be a Kentucky colonel now.
And Candy, but this lady was a Kentucky colonel, like
This woman, Kyle, Jesus.
full woman,
Thank you.
Jametta Beaver. I mean, just fantastic.
Oh, God. Oh, you should have said her name. Catherine Jametta. That's a name.
Catherine Jametta Beaver is my daughter.
Jametta Beaver.
We go her by. She goes by Etta, but she's named after Jametta Beaver. Is her grandmother.
Oh,
Sorry, great grandmother, and she was like super awesome. And she was like, I think she was like the grand marshal of the Kentucky Derby one year, and like she worked at the Kentucky Department of Education. She had a cooking show with Colonel Sanders. and she made these awesome biscuits. Anyways,
That sounds, I mean, it sounds a little racist.
it's a weird name, which is why I gave it to my daughter.
So she, Etta?
She goes by Etta, but we gave her a normal first name in case she ever has to get a job.
Got it.
It's Jimetta
It's like you go, like your real name's Bob, but you go by Bill.
Robert, but yeah.
Bro.
Yeah, my middle name's Ray.
We did have in our video session a discussion about top 15 a-hole names.
Yeah.
Kyle, of course, was one.
Yeah, he's leading that charge with Chad. Kyle and Chad are just leading that
I think
march.
Travis has got to be up there.
Bill's on there somehow. I was like, what?
Well,
I mean, Bill Cosby's the only reason we're on that.
I know.
Well, Bill Clinton.
I know 2 other Kyles, and they're both.
I have to look.
I know one.
I know. Promise you, Tommy's not on there.
No, Tommy's a cool name. We have
Pete's not on there.
Yeah, we read Pete Tommy at the Dirty Record.
Ooh,
Your Tommy's
yeah, true.
like a span of 2 hours.
Fully aroused on the Tommy.
Yeah.
I would think Etta would be for a female. That's not on the list. That's a
Yeah.
cool name. That's like someone you want to hang out.
You have to have a hyphen Lynn to be on that list.
Yeah. Yeah. Or Christy, like Kristi.
Any hairdressers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's get it. Let's start. We also had an off-camera conversation about
Oh, God.
clean kids would buy us our 60th birthday. I got like a Ford Pinto, and I think you were like a used 85 Cadillac Brougham.
It was
Light Cadillac
well,
Brougham.
No, because that would be nice. I mean, I would take that right now. I would cry like a baby. I mean, I'll take that right now.
Hey, you can get that one way cheaper than a 78 Z28.
Geo Metro. Thanks, Etta. Best.
So I think you said 91. First you said 99 Katera, and then I reminded you my oldest son was born in 97, so it would be like a 91 90 Katera, which I can promise you there's none of those on the market.
No,
As a class, they've all blew up.
Challenge accepted.
You know what I would get? What I want to get Bill for his 60th birthday is one of those Plymouth, those little Woodies that they made a few years ago.
Yeah, those are
Like a PT Cruiser?
yeah.
I want to get you a cruiser.
Dude,
PT Cruiser. Purple, white side panel.
it better have some subwoofers.
Oh, it's going to have something.
All right, so Tommy, you know what your job is when
Yeah.
Steve hits the time.
Yeah, you got to figure out what his first car was, find it, and then fix it up for him.
Here's the problem. My dad's 60th birthday was last November.
Well, go to 7.
Well, what kind of shitty gift did you get him?
I didn't get him a car. Worst.
That's fine. I know Steve, he didn't deserve it.
My father, up until 2-3 years ago, drove the same car for I think 20 or 22 years. It was a 1999 black Suburban, very run down. He probably had 400,000 miles on it. And now he's created, he got a new car about 2 years ago.
Tell us what it is.
Another black Suburban,
Oh.
just the nice version. And he is self-admittedly has created a monster of himself, because since getting that car, he goes, I can't believe, why don't I just upgrade my car every year? These things are so.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah, he's now on his 3rd black Suburban, with the first one lasting about 20 years, and now he's going to change them out.
classic Steve, new money.
That's right. We had a bit of a contest with some college roommates about who could make the biggest upgrade from one vehicle to another. It's like, not only did you have to save money for a nice car, you had to drive whatever piece of shit you had for as long as possible. And we had this one friend named Max, who eventually was the CIO of the White House for George Bush, who drove, no kidding, like whatever the first year the Geo Metro came out, which was like you could buy it for like $8,000 new. He drove it till it had like 400,000 miles on it. And then he, I would say, traded it in. They didn't trade it in. They just set it on fire.
Cash for clunkers.
He got rid of his Geo Metro with 400,000 miles and got a black Nissan Z, brand new. Like it was a pretty impressive upgrade from a Geo Metro.
That's a long con. He put the time in.
Yeah, I mean, he suffered high school, college, grad school, law school, and then worked in D.C. for a decade and a half. Like, he drove that thing until it killed itself.
Peter, let's talk about some law.
I was going to say, you want some news? Let's do some updates. First one, we talked about, and Tommy, anyone you want to chime in on, come on. Okay, we talked about the chicken nugget that burned the young gal.
I was going to bring nuggets.
I've seen a lot of social media posts about that story now.
Yeah.
And it's super upsetting to see some of the comments.
Okay, this is what I wanted you guys, this is why I brought it up. So I guess in Florida, maybe this is unique to this case, or maybe this is what they do. They decided liability first, and they found the franchisee, I think in McDonald's, franchisor liable, and then they moved on to damages. And damages has now been decided, and the award is $800,000. Now the plaintiff lawyers asked for $15 million, but as Bill referenced, I saw the same thing. All the comments are
Hot coffee.
this country sucks, and so I have my views, but I'll let you tell our lawyers.
So I will say,
Basic facts of why they got $800,000 for it.
it's mom buys a Happy Meal, which is made for children. That comes in a separate packaging. And that chicken nugget is like 7 times hotter than it should be, to the point where she drops it, she picks it up, burns her finger, drops it on her lap, and it sears a chicken nugget outline in her thigh.
Second-degree burn.
Yeah. So
How's that possible?
ask a McDonald's franchisee, but don't ask anybody that's commenting on any social media.
Can a nug retain that much heat?
Well,
Then it burns your leg?
if you dump something in boiling oil long enough, yeah.
Wow.
So you missed the joys of the hot coffee verdict, right? But you probably heard about it growing up.
I've heard about it, and also maybe 2 years ago I made a YouTube video about it.
Okay.
So I'm aware of what was going on.
I want to actually interject real quick. So I met Tommy right before he passed the bar exam, and he came to help out with an event for a big oil refinery exposure case that I'm trying to get settled right now. And he walked in, and I was like, "Oh, so what kind of law do you want to do?" And he's like, "I want to be a referral lawyer." And I literally laughed. It was like,
He laughed in your face.
I was like, not to his face. I turned, and then I was like, and then he completely proved me wrong, because he's got a giant social media platform, bringing in a bunch of business, referring it out, and I'm like, didn't see that coming.
Can I make a suggestion?
It's impressive.
You should hire Bill, but then fire him on Christmas Eve.
It's a great idea.
Payback.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is the same type of comments after that hot coffee verdict as what's going on here. And here's my view is, unless you've heard all the evidence, you don't have a right to really comment. I mean, you can, of course, it's a free country. You have a right to comment, but you don't have a right to.
You've got a right to say whatever stupid thing you want.
Yeah,
Doesn't make it.
you just don't know.
Yeah, like Kyle's got great hair.
Yeah. And
I had a right to say it. It was just dumb.
What was your take on the hot coffee verdict when you did your video?
Well, so if I'm remembering correctly, McDonald's had 700 complaints of the coffee not just causing burns, but significant damage to people over the course of the 5 or 10 years leading up to it. We're talking about second-degree burns, third-degree burns. They knew it was very hot. There was some speculation as to why it was very hot, and the theory, I should say, was that they kept it hot because they served the coffee hot. It took longer to cool down. If it takes longer to cool down, people need to leave and go out, continue their day. So they're not going to go and get refills, right? So you serve it hot. People can't drink it immediately. Because they can't drink it immediately, it's going to save money over the long term, because they're not going to get refills. So it's a money-saving issue. The lady who dropped the coffee self-admitted she grabbed the cup and she spilled. It wasn't anybody else's fault but hers, and it just caused severe damage. And the pictures are very, very graphic.
Once the documentary came out, everybody saw what happened, and it was horrific.
to
Her courage.
Sabian.
Yeah. I don't know if we're going to use the L word.
And to put in perspective, and again,
I don't know what that is, but I've heard.
Yeah.
and if I'm remembering correct, the jury initially awarded $2.1 million because
That was like
that was 1 day's worth of coffee. I think. Don't tell me.
I think that was the profit.
Yeah.
Or gross revenue or something.
Right. And so there was 1 day's worth of coffee. It was essentially the punishment.
and it got reduced on appeal to $600,000, whatever it was. So
Yeah. Now we got the Nuggies verdict, and same comment. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to wait 5 years for them to make a documentary to see exactly what happened to this little girl's leg. But it was way too hot, especially for something that designed for children.
What I was going to say is I really appreciate and would echo what Peter said, which is I think the appropriate response is if you're not there listening to all the evidence, you likely don't know. And I remember talking to some real conservative friends after the hot coffee thing when it was just in the news before the movie. And one of my friends was saying, this is why we need tort reform. And I remember saying, like, the only difference between the tort reformers and me is they think you are too stupid to be on a jury. And you agree with them. And that's okay. But if you're not in that room listening to that evidence, you probably don't know.
Yeah, we all know who's responsible for this little girl's burned legs.
That Ronald McDonald. How big the house does that?
And that clown, that person's name is Peter Taft. We can agree. Nobody's going to defend that. Nobody can defend him.
So I thought when I was saying the evidence is, of course, they're like, where's the responsibility of the parents?
Oh, yeah.
And you go, first of all, have you ever had a 4-year-old, much less 4 4-year-olds as I have? Would you not hand your kid the Happy Meal that comes out? That's somehow negligent.
I'd blow an early nugget, and then I test it on my arm.
I kept it.
It's like breast milk.
I had a thermometer thing like you do when you're grilling. I put that in. That's what I did. I mean, maybe I'm better than average.
I literally throw the Chick-fil-A bag into the back seat and then get my hand out of the way before I lose a finger.
Yeah.
Because children are ravenous animals.
You feed your children Chick-fil-A? That's a political statement.
Okay, so yeah, that it's true.
I love all God's children, except for Chick-fil-A.
All right, so no, Chick-fil-A
You probably shop at Hobby Lobby.
politics.
Does it?
It's addictive.
I think it depends on who you're at. I mean, if you're in Portland, that's a hot take.
It's just addictive. I mean,
I do not stop.
they use MSG, and that's just what do you do?
I agree.
Can't blame
I mean,
can't
to
blame it.
bring it back, what's in that chicken to make you crave it fortnightly, right? And Gettys, the Rothschilds,
Opioids. Yep. It's an edible jewel.
the Pentaveret.
It's just a jewel pod.
Give us a new story.
All right,
We're wandering.
This is another update.
All right.
Okay, you recall the story where former guest Tony Buzbee sued a right-wing commentator because a same-sex couple posted about how they had adopted a child.
Okay.
And she posted, maybe not explicitly, but inferred that
Suggesting they were assaulting this child.
they adopted it get assaulted, and then they sued for defamation. Did you hear about this?
no, I haven't.
Yeah,
Terrible.
that was filed a couple of months ago. We didn't ask Tony about it when he was here because we were talking more Paxton. But so the case was in front of Dirty Verdict. One of of course, we love all the judges equally, but some we know have come to your CLEs, and that's Tanya Garrison.
Oh, good. Sweet good.
Love your court, Garrison.
And the person, Lauren Witzke, who's the right-wing activist. So this defamation claim, which Bill's the resident expert on, but she moved to dismiss on personal jurisdiction grounds.
Which is, so the internet makes that such a complicated argument because the law is still about a decade behind where we are. So that's a valid argument that you see coming.
I read the briefing, and they tried, the Buzbee's firm did a good job briefing it, but
Who's the lawyer defending it?
it was someone I wasn't aware of. It's a local lawyer, looked younger. Briefing was great. I mean, hats off to the person. I'll look on here, but in any event, Judge Garrison granted the motion to dismiss on jurisdictional grounds.
Was that
To be
an arm of Rule 91?
It was purely just straight up special appearance.
Okay.
So,
You actually have to follow those cases. So internet cases wise, the overwhelming majority of them are filed in Virginia, which is where Johnny Depp's case was. Because that's where, like in Virginia,
Jefferson.
it's where, yes, that's exactly why there's a federal rule on Thomas Jefferson. And it says, this is where all the internet servers are for most of the United States. So that's where this is being disseminated out of.
Really silly.
And I know that only because we have a case right now involving that.
So is Tony going to refile?
So a couple of things. Her attorney is named Mark Avagno. So we'll give him a credit for that. It was dismissed since it's a special appearance. The case was dismissed without prejudice, meaning it can be refiled in her home state of probably Delaware. And then here's the interesting thing. Of course, says she's going to try to recover all of her attorney's fees and costs. I will let you experts opine on the percentage chances of that happening, considering the case is over.
Had she tried to get her attorney's fees through the TCPA or Rule 91, 100% slam dunk. Now that she's done this, I would give this a, I don't know, 1, 0, maybe 2% chance.
There's no case.
Yeah, well, you never know. Pete, all right? Glass half full, 2% full.
There's a defense firm that consistently puts in their pleading a counterclaim for fees and expense. There's a lot of them. And I file a summary judgment on it literally probably 45 days after the answer.
I file a special exception. I'm like, spell this out for me. Give me a little more detail. And then I file the summary judgment.
But so I always file the summary judgment. And one of them called me and said, I guess you don't like the pleading. And I said, I just don't understand it. Maybe you can explain it to me. And if you can, I'll take down my motion. Because I also filed a summary judgment on there, a bunch of others.
Contrib. And
Contrib and act of God and the dog ate my homework and I couldn't find my shoes, whatever nonsense.
Force majeure if you speak French.
And so he goes, well, we put that in all of our pleadings. And I go, close to an explanation.
So yeah, I understand those words in that order.
Yeah.
However,
and he was like, are you going to make me respond to this? And I said, no, you just need to remove it from your pleading. And he said, well, it's in our form. It's a policy. And I said, well, that's fine. My summary judgment is largely also a form, and it is my policy to follow the law. And he was like, I see where this is going. And I was like, wait, where are you going? And I was like, you are maybe the smartest lawyer I've ever met. In any of them.
Throw out a name. Let's hear him.
I actually don't remember the specific.
I'm going to start lawyers. We need to start doxing more people.
Well, love that. Like, let's bring shame back. That's one of my favorite things. Like all of these insurance firms and a lot of the insurance carriers, you'll say, why do I have to do that? And they'll say, it's our policy. And then I always say, I have a policy not to comply with that policy. Oh, and they go, well, where do you come with that policy? And I was like, we have a policy committee at the firm that develops policies. And they're like, oh, that's the trump card. It's my policy.
See, I go a step further. When they say it's our policy, I go, you know who is famous for that? And they're like, who? And I'm like, all the Nazis under Hitler.
And so you know what I do? If you ever have a case with State Farm and you go take a depot at their office, they make you give them your driver's license. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. If you want my driver's license, and they're like, we do it for security purposes. And I go, I'll take the depot in the lobby. I'm not giving you my driver's license. I'm like, what's our policy? We don't do anything with it. I go, really? State Farm is just making a photocopy of everybody's driver's license just for fun?
What are you hiring about? You just pay your taxes, Kyle. What are you hiding from?
This is great. So when they come, if a State Farm lawyer comes to do a depot in this office,
Driver's license.
I get a driver's license.
Passport.
And I have my front lady receptionist, she has a script. And when they say, I'm not doing that, they say, she's supposed to say, and you can't come into the office. This is for security purposes. And I go, what security purposes? And she says, it's our policy. We don't do anything with it. And I literally sent a State Farm lawyer once back to his office to get his driver's license because he forgot it before he could come and take the depot.
That's, it's heady, and it's
Drive around without a license.
Yeah.
I mean, you did it.
And then I photocopied it and I literally put it in my bike. And I go, don't worry, we don't do anything with these.
Hey, you should have posted it to Facebook.
It was so great. This is actually, I could probably tell you the name of the guy that I did it to. He's got a great sense of humor, but he was like,
dox him, let's do it.
Nah, he's a nice guy. I don't want to.
Still with him?
Yeah, he's such a nice guy. I don't want to hose him, and he might get in trouble, but he's really funny. He took it with good humor.
How tall is he? Tell me when to stop.
He's shorter than you, taller than me, but he's kind of
older. Know him. But now I don't.
I was 6'8", so that doesn't give us much.
Well, without the
Dude, I wish I had an afro. I'm losing my afro. I don't
have any updates on the rolled doll case, the lady at the Condor.
Yeah.
I drive by there all the time, and I'm like, is she still in there?
Okay, two things. One, on that topic, I'll say this: we would love to have a primary civil defense lawyer come on the show. We've been working our tails off trying to find someone, but they don't want to come on. So Kyle's got a list. If anyone's watching and you can do it, please come on, particularly if you're kind of interested.
Not just that, further along those lines, we also have been trying to get sued.
I want to get dude. If on my bucket list is to be deposed and or testify, I can't find anybody.
You're a defense lawyer out there.
Sue me.
We got good reasons.
Sue me so hard.
So I have a follow up on this. I've been waiting.
Yes.
If I may. And this is sincere, but wrapped in the burrito surrounding of a joke. But the reality is, we are having trouble getting defense lawyers, and really members of any. If you're a family lawyer, if you're a defense lawyer,
No, we're having to.
Yeah, I got a good family lawyer. She had an emergency, but the defense lawyers, we have kind of an excuse, especially at big firms. Every single one that I've asked, they've all been like, absolutely, but I have to check with our general counsel.
Right.
And then the general counsel Googles us, and they're like, fuck no, you're not going on that show.
we also are having a problem of, we want to be as diverse as we can.
Yeah.
Lawyers of color, especially female lawyers. We would love to have you.
What do you think I'm doing here?
Yeah.
That's what Kyle said. And
We got all the eye candy you need.
Tommy, one of our favorite subjects.
We're all chewing adrenochrome right now.
One of Kyle's favorite subjects is the city of Waco, Texas.
Everything about McLennan County.
Have you ever been to health camp?
Health camp?
Yeah.
No, but I'd like to be an intern there.
No, it's good.
that sounds the lawsuity.
Waco?
The fudge is wet. Well,
No,
health camp.
he hates Waco.
No, yeah.
Or he hates
despises Baptists.
I love Ken Starr, but I hate the girls' soccer team.
No, health camp is like Dirties as far as food.
Oh, health camp.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic.
It's a very unhealthy restaurant called health camp.
I'm down.
Yeah, listen, we should do our next episode there.
If we could literally get Peter to give us gas money,
It's budgets.
Is there not a Von Lane that goes there?
See?
Yep.
No,
see,
I'm
penny
say great
pinching.
Von Lane. I mean, that got you the A-list.
All right, we'll let raise your hand at this table if you've been on a private jet.
Yeah, Peter.
Look at his face. Yeah, look at his face. Yeah.
So
Kyle has to.
Okay, headline is McLennan County officials averted a potential mob scene at the courthouse next week after reality TV star and Magnolia Empire co-founder
Who?
and BFF of Kyle Herbert
Ship Gaines. Shiplap.
He's my second favorite Gaines. First being Chris Gaines, who is actually an Australian pop star, Garth Brooks.
So good.
Chris
Bleaching
Chip
tips.
Gaines and his former business partners reached an out-of-court settlement in his defamation countersuit. So his former Magnolia real estate partners, Waco attorneys, this is good, John L. Lewis and Rick L. Clark, declined comment. Now, through the rest of this story I'm reading, they're referred to as Lewis and Clark.
Yes.
Of course they
One
are.
of them committed suicide.
Oh, really?
Not these two guys, but Lewis and Clark.
Oh, yeah.
Sacagawea was that girl.
She was.
That's a great idea for a fake, one of these trade names for fake.
Yeah, Lewis and Clark. Lewis, Clark, and Julia, PLLC.
Well, anyhow, so the underlying story was that they had a real estate deal. Allegedly, Chip Gaines knew he was about to get picked up by the network for his redo show, and they're like, hey, this real estate thing really isn't working out. Maybe can I buy y'all out for like 10 grand? And they're like, yeah, fine, take it. And then he's like, great. And then 3 days later, whoops, I got a TV show.
This isn't where I parked my car.
I'm the next Bob Vila, but of crappy houses.
Yeah.
Waco.
So that was the underlying dispute. They sued him. Case got dismissed. He had counterclaimed for defamation, and apparently that claim had survived dispositive
Muster.
And so it was headed to trial and got settled.
So he got paid twice.
Yes.
Shout out to Chris Gaines' brother. He did it.
Yeah, he bought them out for $2,500 a piece.
What they paid? Do you know what they paid an attorney or in the settlement?
No, it didn't say.
I do kind of like that show just because I love how poorly Joanna treats her husband.
How? You've watched this show?
What do you think I do every Friday night?
Watch Bravo?
Yeah, I've got it all saved on the TiVo.
I was trying to figure out what it was before DVR. It's TiVo.
Yeah, I love Chip and Joanna. They're so good.
Any recent stories you've talked about that I probably have pulled up?
No. I've been actually busy lawyering.
Good for you.
About time.
No, I know you like to.
Boo, lawyering.
I know. I've the last couple months have been crazy. Actually, Tommy Fibbage's not brother-in-law, son-in-law, Jarrett and I were working on a big class action together.
The one in Austin.
Right.
Are you still wrapping up stuff in Louisiana? I know you found a cash cow in hurricane relief in Louisiana.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of first-party work. I'm licensed in Louisiana too.
Nice.
So
you had to take the bar, right?
Oh, I had to take the bar.
So do you speak Parlez-vous français?
Oui.
Hey.
Yeah, there was
two. Oui.
It was a fun time. The Louisiana bar is 3 days: Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's all essay.
I was under the understanding that Louisiana is basically like Vietnam. Like, there are no rules. But that's only because I only go to Bourbon Street.
How do you think somebody this tall can rule an entire country?
He was actually a normally sized human. Whatever. Come on.
Oh, you want to get to normally sized humans? Because Kyle's 1 inch taller than the normal sized human in the United States as a male.
Damn it, Bill. I am completely average.
He is 5'9" and 7/8.
Okay, next story. Lawsuit. Okay, this is for you, all you plaintiff lawyers. Lawsuit over semi-truck crash reveals issue of truck driver working 2 months without a day off. So basically, there's a
shocked, I say, stunned.
What?
Is that even possible?
One of these. It was during Uri storm, so the roads were kind of rough. But apparently, this guy was from Mexico, and he'd come to the U.S. and he would drive every day.
Had this case 25 times.
Every day, no stop. It was team driving, so he would sleep in the cab while his other guy, and they'd flip-flop, and they was driving nonstop. And so, of course, there's supposed to be logs.
It sounds like they kept pretty good ones.
Yeah.
We know they did not take a day off for months.
I'm certain that they didn't, but you know how you can triangulate that is you can go to third parties like Department of Transportation or wherever they're picking up or dropping off, and you get their check-in, check-out time, and then you just calculate the distance and then the governor on the engine, and you can figure out that they worked 14 hours straight to drive from Baytown to Lubbock and back without stopping.
Is that why during a close in a case like that, you go, "Hello, governor," at the beginning of the closing argument?
That's why you go, I only know 1 or 2 people that can stay awake for 20 straight hours while driving a vehicle. And I'm not saying it's all because of cocaine and methamphetamine.
One's me, the other's on meth. Spoiler alert, it's not me.
If they're doing team driving, and let's say, how can they tell let's say y'all are team driving, how do they know if Kyle's driving 6 hours and Tommy's driving?
Because you can only drive 11.
Right, but how do they know that who's behind the wheel?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say there's 2 answers to that. One is they're probably violating the overall work hours, even for 2 people stacked. The other answer is it's pretty expensive to have somebody in that sleeper berth. It's cheaper to actually drive with just one driver and make them take breaks.
Yeah.
So in my experience, the guy that's in the sleeper berth is almost always like, he's not like a legit employee. He's like the brother or the cousin from Mexico that's tagging along and doing a couple of hours here and there, who probably doesn't have a CDL and is totally full of crap.
So I had this case out of Laredo, actually, and they were team driving, and they were cousins, actually. The problem was
cousins from Cuba and Mexico.
I don't know what so it used to be NAFTA, and NAFTA had a big problem in it, which is if you had an American company that was importing things out of Mexico, if they had Mexico nationals driving in, they could get in under NAFTA without a CDL, and there was a kind of a gray area as to what DOT they were flying under. And so there was a problem finding liability. But I don't know what the Trump era administration's Mexico, Canada, U.S. treaty, I don't know if they fixed that or not. I haven't run into that since.
So the 2 brothers that I had most recently from Cuba operating a vehicle, their names were Rafael and Ted Cruz.
You mean Theodore?
Rafael.
I know what his name is, Kyle. Why do you think I call him Ralphie?
I'm just kidding, Ted. Don't sue us.
Yeah, Ted.
If you're going to sue someone, sue Bill.
Rafael. I don't know why you would be like, you want to have a name of a Ninja Turtle or Ted.
Heidi, if you're out there. We think you're a wonderful lady. We'd love to have you on the podcast. We got nuggets.
Tommy, do you have any
Hot nuggets. Hot nuggets.
some of these 18-wheeler cases like these guys?
Yeah, so the first case I ever tried with my father was second chair or third chair. We got a $12,450,000 verdict.
Nice. Where?
Case. Harris County.
Good.
Did your dad actually pay the referral?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's funny.
How long ago?
This would have been 2019.
Right before COVID, right?
Yeah, and when I say, I didn't do much of the heavy lift.
Yeah. You were just like, I'm Brian Fellows.
That's right.
No, but man, how awesome is that?
But it was great.
Well, I can say I'm on the father side of that deal. How cool would it be to try a case with your?
That is my biggest fear in life, is that my son becomes a lawyer.
Well, none of mine are on the route, but that's awesome for your dad.
Maybe Mary Taft could be it.
Could be.
Actually, shout out, I am now being followed by Peter's wife on Instagram. I felt very fortunate. I was like, hey, I'm a good guy. I'm a nice guy. I'm a nice guy.
Diana is following you.
Yeah, I got a follow request, and I was like, flattered.
How do you feel about that, Pete?
It's fine. Did my kids follow you yet?
Not yet. Wow, Matt, you just sucked all the wind out of my sails like you always do, Pete.
Yeah.
Jeez. Having a good moment, Pete's like, down a peg.
Oh, well, they will. They just don't know. I'm sure they follow you.
Well, we know who Pete doesn't talk about at home.
Yeah. Have you met?
You need to get Diana to pitch you.
Have you
I know.
met Jefferson Fisher?
Slide into her DMs.
Yes, actually, him and I. He's out of Beaumont.
Mm-hmm.
Him and I connected maybe a year ago. He was in town, and we met at a bar and hung out. He's a great guy, very smart.
I don't. Who is this? Jefferson Fisher. So I don't know where I missed this because he's got like 2 million followers.
Of the Fisher?
No, he's. So I worked for his great grandfather. He was a federal judge in Beaumont, and I don't know how. Maybe he was on Lewis House podcast, so I listened to, and so I've been listening to him this week. I had no idea how he is great. For anyone listening.
Yeah.
For the few people who are already following him, besides Tommy, that's another great follow for lawyers to kind of figure out what's going on.
Tell me, what is the name of your channel? Is it Attorney Tom?
Attorney Tom, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was,
He's plugging you, as the kids
I
say.
figured you because y'all are kind of similar age, vintage, and you'll do similar stuff.
Yeah, Jefferson does really well on Instagram and TikTok, and does a lot of short form content. My content, I try to make 8 to 12 minute videos. Actually, the most recent video we did was 35 minutes. Jefferson's content's more about how to win a negotiation. It's one step beyond just the law, and he does a really, really great job.
It's like an instructional type thing.
Yeah, the psychology behind winning an argument, things like that.
Stare at them until they say something.
And so,
stunningly handsome.
I get that. That works for me.
he does a great job.
Yeah.
He's got a bazillion followers. Wow.
Yeah. No, I'd recommend him. I was very impressed.
Well, if you need to go on the attack to take him down a peg, call Peter.
No. I'm taking him up a peg. All right.
I thought we agreed no pegging. That's the second time I've used that one.
The next.
Cut it off.
Yeah.
Leave it in.
Next story. Our friends at Zell and Associates have filed suit on behalf of a father of a 4-year-old child who drowned at the Moody Gardens Hotel pool.
I don't know any of the Moody's.
Yeah, so I don't know how that ownership thing works, but
Terrible.
in any event,
What's the cause? How the 4-year-old drown in the Moody Gardens is it called?
Was it at the pool attached to their resort?
Wakeful?
Yeah, have y'all stayed there?
I actually have.
I've been there for a couple of events, but I've never.
It's not like I think probably St. Louis has some dramatic pool. I think this is just a pretty standard pool. They just said they didn't have enough people monitoring. So
It's gated though.
yeah,
Which is kind of why I was like, where was this drowning?
And the child was 4 years old.
So that brought me to some of these pool cases with children.
I used to defend those.
Horrible. And we know some friends of ours at other firms have you can't say done real well because it's such a tragic deal when child's died. But what do y'all think on liability theories on that against the owner?
Against the owner, I think, coming to the nuisance. That's what's called. Attractive nuisance would be one, just because it's a child in water. And unless they had some sort of defect with the gate where the gate just swung open and they didn't have to have a card.
There's some pretty strict rules about ladders and signage and buoys and all that stuff. Was this a pool? It's not like a resort. Was this just a hotel pool?
It's a regular hotel.
I bet they charge a resort fee.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, for a brief moment, I defended some of these cases for a local, like a swim team lesson company.
Oh, you say that like we should have guessed it already.
I don't want to use their names. They actually ran a really good operation. They were almost always the good guys, and
almost always the good guys is not how you describe a good swim team.
They trained their staff really well. They took safety very seriously, and it was really easy to defend them.
I was gonna say, did you have to defend them?
Usually the defense would go something like this: you let your kid who couldn't swim in a pool, and these nice folks saved your child's life. Why are you suing them? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, why are you suing them? That said, that stuff is really statute driven, right? When you have lifeguards on duty, and you're like, if you've got a resort pool with a lifeguard, really statute heavy. But the other stuff is, right, like if you're a parent that lets your kid into the pool and you know there's no lifeguard on duty.
You say, you know what? You sound like one of those commentators on the hot nugget case.
I prefer commentor.
That's the French in him. Look at his hair.
All right, next story. This falls under the category of like weird things that become lawsuits. This was Houston man sues Katy apartment complex and the security guard company following bizarre incident.
How bizarre. How bizarre.
Is this another toe story?
No.
He's me feeding mouth.
No, there's some things though. Okay, Kingland's West Apartments. Fella's there seeing a friend. Security officer just starts yelling at him. Is there a problem? I had no idea. No, there's no problem. Next thing you know, the security guard, Jose Herrera, is slamming a bag filled with Taco Bell food against this man's head. I mean, can you imagine?
Opportunity. You just roll the window down. You say free tacos, you roll it.
You say, who's in the mood for grade D meat?
Yeah. So first of all, getting hit, think about this, getting hit with a bag of Taco Bell.
And
then he ends up pushing him. And then he pulls a stun gun. And that's when I called 911.
Who pulled the stun gun? The Taco Bell
security guard.
Taco Bell security guard?
He went, the security guard goes.
Was he making a run for the border?
No, security guard, this is how he was trained. One, you attack with Taco Bell.
Such a dad joke.
Two, good. 2 push, 3 stun gun.
Yeah,
that's that
was a threat.
That's the way you de-escalate any situation with a cheesy gordita crunch. You
can't get the supreme burrito if you don't have the supreme taser and or stun gun.
So what was the security guard just whacked out of his head?
Something he didn't.
He had a stun gun. Yes.
Yeah.
He should have a flashlight and a cell phone.
Didn't have a license. To be a security guard.
Did he do the thing where it's like, and he turns it on? That noise is actually intimidating.
Yeah.
Somebody that got stunned at a fundraiser in college.
That is a lawsuit. If Josh wants to, I pulled the actual petition down.
Here's the plaintiff lawyer.
Yeah, good question.
Here we go.
I'm taking that guy to lunch.
Plaintiff's lawyer who filed this case is named George Edwards, is the lead counsel of Edwards Sutarala.
Where?
They're in Houston.
Sawyer Street.
602 Sawyer Street.
George, if you want to be on the show, we'd want to hear all the stories about your taco situation.
Yeah. And we've got plenty of Texas Roadhouse gift cards already. We'd like some Taco Bell, so we'll diversify.
I bought a new house a few years ago.
Humble brag.
And literally it's kind of south side of West Hugh. And within walking distance is a Taco Bell, a Whataburger, a Total Wine and More, a Specs.
Be careful.
And a really good Chinese place. like all within walking distance. And I was like, this is home, right? Like,
Can it get any better?
there's a Chick-fil-A like further down the road, but we're not talking about that.
And yeah,
Uh,
you already got there.
so we're kind of rounding it out. Tommy, any stories that you have heard of recently that you thought were interesting or?
What's the new hot mess tour? Don't say Camp Blue June. We all know that.
No.
What happened with Jewel? Just out of curiosity.
Jewel settled.
Did it
Yeah.
for
Uh,
good money, bad money, okay money?
It's still, well, hype. Yeah. Asterisk.
And just for an audience, the audience that doesn't know what Juul is, it's an e-cigarette that may or may not have been found to have purposely tried to target teenagers.
Yeah. I should be more precise with my words. There is a settlement in principle subject to getting
Certain percentage of
certain percentage of
non-opt-outs.
correct.
Good for you. I know you had a handful of them. You got an early too.
Yeah. We
Which is code for Tommy's rich.
Well, no, I'm
But
glad
like all the more difficult when he fires you on Christmas.
I appreciate you doing that because those are that I agree with the.
I know I've heard some rumblings about some of the internal emails about like, let's make this look more like a USB drive and stuff like that, like so that they can hide it from their parents. Like I think there's some of those Remington documents in there. How do we get into Call of Duty? Those kind of documents. So,
Did they get into Call of Duty?
so there was a settlement between the Sandy Hook parents and Remington because the Bushmaster, which was the assault rifle used in the shooting, they sued Remington, and in that may or may not have come out some documents of like, how do we get this into video games and make it look cooler and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's what I was saying. Jewel was kind of doing the same thing. Just it's a way of targeting the younger demographic,
People with malleable, unformed minds.
looking for some molding.
So here's another recent suit out of San Antonio. We'll probably wrap it up, and this isn't a happy story.
Things are getting wild in San Antonio.
There's a fellow that he died, and they initially thought he, of course, was on drugs, or someone suggested he was on drugs. Turned out he actually had a heat stroke.
Ugh.
Now, this was in 22, which, I mean, as we sit here today, we're in the middle of a very particularly hot summer in Texas. But I'm sure in June of 22 it was plenty hot.
June of the year in Texas ain't going to be nice.
And so, so this fellow had a heat stroke and died. But it's kind of in the news now because, as y'all know, they changed the law in the last legislature where there used to be mandatory water.
Well, there's all these freeloading construction workers
Unions
who want to drink water.
water
Yeah.
like a bunch of princesses.
So this to me,
I get it.
yeah. So yeah,
Shout out to Greg.
that to me goes into this notion of, for you trial lawyers, is if there's not regulatory oversight by the government, and there's none, that means you know who regulates you? Plaintiffs' lawyers and lawsuits.
Unless you're big banks.
So yeah, so
No one regulates you ever if you're big banks. We just bail you out.
which
As taxpayers.
I mean, no one likes bureaucracy or government regulation, but I promise you, you prefer that over Bob Ogden, Kyle Herbert, Tommy Kirker suing you.
So what was
Or
this guy a construction worker? He
Yeah,
was just
he's construction.
Wait, so he was having a heat stroke and everybody's like, he must be on drugs. And it was just, no, y'all just didn't give him any water.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Does it say who's a plaintiff lawyer?
It's a gross negligence claim because he was
Combar.
covered by but yeah.
Workers' comp bar. Keep voting conservative, Texas. You're taking care of our citizens.
Yeah, that was
Kinda.
we talked to Tommy Fibish before about how when he was growing up as a lawyer, they tried comp cases, but workers' comp was the original tort reform.
When did that come through?
I think like the mid '80s.
Oh, it was before I was born.
Yeah, it was before I became a lawyer. So that case was recently filed, and so yeah, I'm sure it wasn't the lack of water necessarily, but it was just the concept of being working in the sun and probably not.
How old was this kid?
24.
Man,
It's a San Antonio case. I'm not sure who the lawyer is.
Okay.
So anyhow, Stay hydrated. That day it was 102 in San Antonio. So
Heat index or actual temp?
it said, according to the story, it was temperatures.
Jeez. That's a tough one.
Okay, so
How do you defend that?
you probably just on the fact that it's gross.
Morally, how do you defend
Yeah.
it? I mean, as a defense attorney. That's why we need a defense attorney on here. Anymore. Tommy, you said it used to. Other Tommy.
Yeah. Oh, Tommy Fitbit. Yeah. All right. So that cover, I think we've got some good coverage on stories this week. Tommy, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Tom, do you have any advice for the dirty verdict? You are a pro at this.
No, actually, that's a good question. We are younger attorneys and tackling social media. What's your advice? Because you've mastered it, and not a lot of attorneys, and I can't think of any others besides. Actually, Brian White had a fantastic viral clip that went viral. I don't know if it's strategic or not, but everyone talking. Yeah, they're all walking out. Yeah, it generated a lot of buzz nationwide because I was in Philadelphia. Somebody asked me if I knew Brian White, and I was like, I don't, but I know a lot of guys. A lot of my friends do.
My kids all sent that to me.
Some of the comments on that were pretty hard.
Oh man, I mean, but I will say this: whoever's running his social media team responded to all of the negativity in a very good way.
That's what you have to.
I thought it was a very pro way, and in my opinion, I looked at it as like, regardless if you were or were not trying to drive buzz, you did it in a way with the comments.
Yeah,
it worked.
But I'm not sure that it drives business. But I want to hear Tommy's perspective on that.
Yes. So what I've found is short form content, and I've seen that Brian White clip. At least for personally, doesn't drive business. TikToks and Instagrams, people just mindlessly scroll, right? You might get 1 million views. And I say this out of experience, not out of, I have a TikTok page that has 700 something thousand subscribers. I think I've posted a total of 3 videos in the past 2 years.
Just really?
Yeah.
Just because there's no benefit to it, a business.
Yeah. Personally, I've done hundreds of millions of views, whereas I do hundreds of millions of views on long form content, and it's wildly more successful for a lot of reasons.
Is that all YouTube or YouTube, Facebook?
YouTube and Facebook. My Facebook page is actually huge. Facebook's my killer that people don't really see, but it's there. I mean, I can.
Yeah, I wonder how many followers you got on Facebook. Here comes a flex.
Yeah,
He's flexing.
Here, let me kind of tell you the flex.
How many years have you been a lawyer while you're looking it up?
I got licensed, or I graduated law school in December of 18.
Okay, so license.
So took the February bar, licensed March
or I guess
19.
June.
So in the last, and I'm not going to publicly share the revenue.
You have that number?
Oh yeah, last year.
Tell us off camera. I'll tell you next week.
Last year, actually, I have 2 separate companies, and that's a whole other reason.
Let me ask this: did you make more last year off of Facebook and YouTube
than
being a lawyer?
Being a lawyer, but
is it close?
No.
Okay.
But
these are real questions. We don't know. We do not know how the internet works.
More about this off camera, but
sure.
So anyway,
Tommy, are you rich?
He's very rich. Look at his shirt.
In the last 7 days on Facebook, my page has been watched for 14 million minutes.
Jesus.
I've had 119,000 video engagements, which means comments, shares, that kind of stuff. And
does that include likes, shares, and comments, or just shares in the comments? I don't know.
I think it includes likes,
okay.
but and if I scroll back, it gives me the 90-day picture. So in the last 90 days on Facebook, I've been watched for 203 million minutes.
So he's super rich, Kyle. Are you kidding me? 203 million? That's like a minute to the like every minute stacked on a penny is to the moon.
5 million engagements, and I've gained 94,000 followers.
You've gained 94,000 followers in the last 90 days
on Facebook.
You're getting over 1,000 followers a day,
and I mean, like
that's only 3.4 million hours.
And look at
rookie numbers.
Look at last 28 days.
Say it, Kyle. Say it.
These are just nudes of Farrah Fawcett.
Yeah, in the last 28 days, that's how many.
Oh, that's ad gen. That's just ad gen.
28 days?
That's not including any cases you got, right? That's ad gen. Advertising.
If the state bar is watching this, and this is the God's honest truth, I have two companies. Okay, I have Attorney Tom LLC, which is my media company. Then I have the Kirker Law Firm. I've never had an issue, and if you watch my content, you see I'd never,
Intermingle.
I never, people watch my content, then they like me, then they hire me. That's great, but I'm never really professing, you need to hire me, you need to hire me, you hire me, because that's not the purpose. Because I would legitimately make content if I never got a case again. It's a completely separate venture. There's lots of money to be made in content creation, right?
Blink, how many times did it?
You're fine with, I would think, wow, this isn't advice, but I think you're fine with a bar because under that scenario, anytime a lawyer was interviewed on TV, they don't have to go, say, bar, here's what I'm going to say to the reporter, bar, do you approve it?
Right. And I've never had an issue with it, and I don't think it ever will be an issue, but I am prepared that if they ever bring that down, I would say, look, you can't.
You're getting 1,000 a day?
You can't stop people. 1,000 a day?
You said the last 90 days you had 94,000 new followers? Wait, do you have subscribers too? Do they pay?
Facebook, everybody's got like a different name. I don't charge. I don't do any of that. I purposely don't take sponsors. This is kind of a greater conversation about, I purposely don't take sponsors, which I am leaving a lot of money on the table, just because, fuck corporations, my job's
that's what I'm talking about.
I don't take sponsors. I want people to watch my content. I don't charge for my content. I put nothing behind a paywall. I want to just, I make money from my content just organically being out there. And then naturally people watch it and they say, I like Tom. And then God forbid they ever need a catastrophic injury lawyer, they give me a call.
Imagine how much money you could make if you were at zero handicap on the golf course, Kyle.
Imagine how much money he could make if he had hair length.
That's fair. It's close. It's not bad. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's great hair.
Imagine how much money I could make if I could literally just be like your personal valet. I carry golf clubs.
Nope, it's already, that job's taken by Steve Kirk.
His personal valet. Are you kidding me?
Hey, you keep throwing up numbers like that, not for long.
So, but I think we diverted you. What would you advise younger lawyers on as far as the social media?
So, tell you what, let's make it a fine.
We're older lawyers, yeah.
Let's make it a finer question.
Yeah,
because you could literally. We want to have you back on and do a full segment about this.
I could talk about this.
So for sure. So give us this. You're a lawyer with a practice. You got a TikTok. You got a Facebook.
Yeah.
What are 2 or 3 things you absolutely should put out there? What are 2 or 3 things you absolutely should not put out there?
Yeah. I think the biggest problem, and I say this with love to everybody, is nobody gives a shit about you. Right? Nobody gives a shit about you.
Tell that to my mom.
Every lawyer's social media is the same. We're the best lawyers of all time. Look at our results. We're gonna fight hard for you. It's all just so generic. I know you work for the best law firm in the country as of right now,
but he actually has a trophy.
Yes, right. But
I mean, yeah, trial lawyer of the year nationally, maybe. I get it. I'm a big deal.
So all that stuff is totally ineffective.
Trophies are cool for about an hour.
Totally ineffective. And you got to think, if somebody's scrolling through social media, do they want to watch an advertisement? No, they don't. So that's what my simplest tip would just be: make content worthy of people's time. Why is somebody going to spend 5 minutes watching your video?
So do you have a team that's kind of like figuring out the psychology behind all this, or do you just trial and error?
Well, both. I mean, I've produced 600 plus videos in 4 years. I have 3 full-time people on my team, but also more than that is I go to, I've done all the coaching, all the functions.
How old is your oldest employee?
My oldest employee, I have an office in Wilmington, North Carolina.
How many offices do you have? Let's break this down even more. Jesus.
Yeah. Houston, Lake Charles, New Orleans, Wilmington. 4.
And you're a fourth-year lawyer, third-year lawyer.
You know,
Fourth year.
say 4th, you know, completed the 4th, you know, going on 5.
Bullshit.
So provide some value, like not just the old. I mean, there's 8,000. What to do after a car?
I mean, yeah, that
Like something.
so,
You know,
so I call that value. That's what everybody pivots to. Like, oh, 3 things to do. That's not value. That's bullshit. You know it's bullshit. You're doing it just as a pseudo way of advertising, right? Nobody cares about that. Yeah.
3 things to do after a wreck. Cuss out the cops.
Yeah. First, 2 middle fingers to the cop.
Right.
Second,
Flee the scene.
pull your pants down.
Third, rip up your insurance.
Right. Just provide some insight. I mean, you know, if you go to Jefferson Fisher's channel, you know, he'll have literally 100 videos talking about something that's helpful. He won't even mention that he has. Right. You go to my videos, for every 15 videos I make, maybe 2 of them are about this topic of personal injury, right? And even if I'm talking about personal injury, I'm not trying to sell my services. I mean, I just released a video on the El Faro, and that case happened in 2015. And, you know, it's just a really interesting case because I wanted to educate people on how laws from 1850 are still used in maritime, right?
100%.
That, you know, it's not like I can sign up any El Faro clients, right? Past statute, it's already been litigated, they've already been signed up, but it's something that's really interesting that the public deserves to know about, that, you know, it adds value to somebody watching.
So I assume, and I've met quite a few of your employees now, all of them seem younger.
Yes.
Is that kind of your...
Yeah.
And I think that's genius because the younger generation knows social media better than the older. And I look where you're at, which is absolute shit. It's not fair. And you had a better idea than I did, and I don't like it. So there's that.
What areas of law or what kind of topics do you find that you think people are most interested in that are non-lawyers?
Probably civil rights. It's probably number 1. There's a plethora of content to analyze out there.
Oh, like
a lot of police interaction.
First Amendment auditors. I love those.
First Amendment auditors are
low-hanging fruit.
Low-hanging fruit because about half of them are legitimate, but you know, you get credibility when you call out. You know, sometimes a First Amendment auditor will make a video and they are objectively in the wrong, and you make a video, but then, you know, their fan clubs spew hate at you, which is true. I mean, what we were talking about earlier with Brian White, at a certain level, I can't tell you how many, you know, bad comments we get.
Oh,
right? It's just...
Does it even affect you?
No, you just...
It's part of the game.
Yeah, you just get used to it. It affects you at the beginning. It really does. I mean, you know, starting out, I used to read every comment. But now it'd be physically impossible to read every comment.
Never read your reviews.
Yeah.
I do them all the time.
Yeah.
But never good.
But it sounds so short. I mean, I could talk all day about the actual strategy behind social media, and there is an actual strategy, but really all those problems can be solved if you make videos people want to watch. And it sounds so simple and such like a cliche thing to say, but it's true. If you just go watch everybody's video, nobody cares about you walking in slow motion in a suit with your client, like, you know,
he's walking onto a jet.
Yeah.
Still carrying my briefcase.
It sounds generic. You know, everybody's done it. You know, every lawyer has $1 million verdict. Every lawyer has a $10 million verdict. Every lawyer is the most aggressive, will fight for you. Every lawyer's got a client that will cry on their shoulder.
Do you see this at any point switching to a consulting side for law firms?
No,
because it sounds super valuable. Because you're right. Now that you're mentioning all these things, it's what every law firm does.
There are a lot of... I have to be careful.
Yo, call names. We're here for names.
There are a lot of people in the space that are on the consulting side. And, you know, truthfully, if you can do it, you know, why do you need to make money consulting, right? If somebody calls me and wants to know everything, I will literally tell you everything I know, no secrets, no fee. I've had lawyers many lawyers in Houston. You've come to my office. I've had probably a dozen law firms come to my office. Sometimes they bring the whole marketing team. They spend the whole day with me. Half my office is a studio, right? I got filming equipment, lights, everything. I tell you how we make it, why we make it this way.
Got a whole costume closet. It's mostly jean shorts.
And a lot of Harry Potter garb,
But it's
That's right.
Your custom or his?
that's his closet. Was get a closet.
he said
He said jean shorts. You're like done, and I already have them.
see all the
50 Shades of Kyle.
a lot of thought.
Yeah, but I will tell everybody everything I know for free because
You can do it better.
no matter how well. Not only can I do it better, but I can back up what I say. I think a lot of these social media growth or law firm growth people, they if you make your money on selling the course and not the back end product, then what does that say about your back end product? Right. My back end product is obviously my law firm, and
So you're like,
I have known it would be an opportunity cost to go and try to make money consulting with someone when I could just focus on my area and one, not only make money on the content, but two, if people are so inclined when they watch my content,
And thus the Herbert Ogden Taft media consulting firm was born.
yeah, you just gave us an idea. We're going to steal it. I'm going to take it.
I mean, I think you have given this advice here today, which is really just if you're going to put something out there, make it real valuable, not fake valuable.
Yeah.
Or the same thing that everyone does.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear about how great you are. Give us something that entertains us.
And two,
That's right.
be consistent, and have, as Calvin Coolidge said, be persistent.
Yeah.
Like keep doing it over and over.
How many views does the interview with me and you at the courthouse have? Do I get some content cut? Do I get a cut out of that?
That was very.
That was early. Yeah, well, that was grassroots.
It would get
I feel like I have some equity in this LLC.
It would get much higher now if we posted.
Well, if you want to sit down and talk to me, I'm happy to do it. And I charge a very small fee of 2 glasses of good bourbon.
You say that. I actually have a good video idea for you.
Hey, bring it on. Hey, do I get to wear like a kilt or some sort of?
You already gave him a jean shorts.
Well, yeah, things with all the bullets.
Yeah, that's right. I'll give you whatever you want. But seriously, I would be really hesitant of any of the social media growth coaches. There's no secret formula. There's no, anybody who's worth a shit. And there's probably about 20 of us across the country will help you for free.
My favorite is the ones that market to market. They're like, hey, I'll flip through TikTok every once in a while and I'll find somebody that's like legal marketing. And I'm like, I'm not getting my legal marketing from TikTok, dude. Like what? But they market to market for your law firm, and it runs up all the time in different platforms. That's what's funny to me.
Yeah.
Well,
Fascinating
no,
stuff.
yeah, you
We're gonna have you back for sure because I've got a lot of questions.
Yeah,
We're gonna have to have a content discussion, I think, before Tommy's willing to come back on the show. But I think that's okay.
We have to do it like full social media type. So we have to go on that fake airplane in California and film it from a fake private jet. That's what I want to do.
Oh yeah,
I want a helicopter.
I've got some ideas on video.
Come on, Kobe.
Okay, so we want to wrap up this week of Dirty Verdict.
Yeah, and really sincerely, we'd love to. We need to make time for a full Tommy Kirker segment.
Yeah, because this is valuable to not young lawyers, to all lawyers. Because I think a lot of law firms would watch this and be like, we need to change this up.
You could also intersperse this with I want you to pick your 5 stereotypical things that people do terrible on the internet.
Pull the websites. We're gonna throw the screenshots
You
out.
can play them back, and Josh, our Navy SEAL, he'll put those up for you.
Actual Navy SEAL, not stolen valor or whatsoever.
You can do some that are bad.
Oh, yeah,
we just pull. Yeah.
We can pull examples. I want examples. But the Law Hawk is off limits.
Yeah,
Say what you want about Law Hawk.
No, I love it.
I think Law Hawk does better than 99%.
I agree. People talk about it. I mean, he found a way to carve out an industry. So, Tommy, thank you.
Thanks for stopping in. Kind of uninvited.
Yeah.
But still super glad to have you. And to be honest, you've been really generous with your time in the past. So we got an open door policy. Anytime you want to come visit with the Dirty Verdict, you're welcome, but we will definitely set up a time for a more robust discussion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
Bob Mark.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, thanks. That'll end it this week. In the interim, do not take a grip test. Kyle.
No grip tests, and we want to thank our sponsors, McDonald's. I'm loving it.
And Attorney Tom LLC.
That's right. Very good.
Thanks,
Good night.
guys.
Thanks for joining us this week. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also visit our website at www.dirtyverdict.com. If you are interested in coming on as a guest or have a story idea, please email us at story@dirtyverdict.com.